Well, it's summertime. Not really.
Yes.
This is Auto Collabs.
Which means Michael is getting meteor-sized hail in Texas, I think is what that happens.
Yeah, I was like, did he say summertime or tornado time?
I know.
Tornadoes, hail.
I feel like Nashville and Dallas, I feel like you guys are both getting crushed. And for once, I'm like, see, this is why, like, I live where I live.
No, right now, this is like early summer for us. It's 59 in the morning and 83 in the afternoon.
There you go. That's Syracuse summer.
Nothing better. It is. Yeah. You get it for another 4 months.
I just saw a post from a friend of mine who's a musician in Nashville. Fancy that. He's from Syracuse. He's a drummer. And he's like, only in Nashville can you have the forecast be partly sunny or partly cloudy and it looks like this. And he like pans the camera to the right. There's like water rushing down a street. I don't know what part of Nashville he's in.
That's about right. Yeah.
Speaking of storms, we're going to be sitting down with Kaylee Jewert, 13-year-old, bringing the storm.
Yep.
To retail auto. She recently spoke at Women in Auto. Yes, you heard that right. 13-year-old took the stage at
Seen
Women
this
in
thing
Auto.
everywhere.
And I don't know about you guys. I'm excited to get into this. This episode title is My Three Dads.
My Three Dads. That's exactly what it is.
No.
I feel super old because I have kids older and younger than her.
Yes. I'm excited to get into this. So without further ado, let's jump into this episode with Kaylee Jewert.
All right, we are here with the infamous Kaylee Jewert. Kaylee, thank you so much for joining us today on Auto Collabs.
Thank you for having me here with you today.
I think I have to apologize in advance for probably what you're about to endure. Before backstage, we were like, we don't know what you know about this show or what your dad signed you up for, but basically you're just like on screen with a few idiots for 20 minutes and you're just going to teach us what we should be doing.
I mean, if I'm going to call up my friends real quick, I will literally fall asleep on call with some idiots, so.
There you go.
She just threw all her friends under the bus. One fell
All her
swoop.
friends. Done.
I was about to say, Paul, how dare you refer to me in
call every
plural?
day, so.
All right. So the reason we kind of found our way to each other is because recently you're making waves in the retail auto industry, especially across the dealer side of the business, because you had a speaking engagement at Women in Automotive just a few weeks ago, actually, as of recording this in May. And you were on stage very passionately and articulately making a case for why there need to be more women in the industry and why you love the industry so much. Can you just tell us how that whole thing came about?
So I remember just one day my dad was like, so he was sitting in his chair upstairs and he's like, hey, there's this like Women in Automotive conference. It's in Colorado Springs, so it wouldn't be that far. Do you want to go on? And I'm like, sure, why not? I mean, like, I'll go and I'll present. He's like, okay, let's figure out a topic. So then we started figuring out a topic, and so we had to fill out the form and go through the whole process, and then I got the ability to speak there.
Was that your first time speaking, or was it like this is a normal thing in your life at this point?
So the only other time that I've had I've spoken in front of like high power people was at my school for the Shark Tank project. And so I had a partner. He did not talk at all because he had a panic attack right before, because he's not public speaking. Yeah. And it was like, I think 6 high power people from Denver. Like there was like.
Who were they? Do you remember who they were? Or they
I don't
were just
remember.
Somebody important. Mm-hmm.
They were just like important people. So I mean, my face was like completely red, and so I was just up there talking about the product that I had basically signed up on myself too, because I came up with the idea. And it's like whenever I'm in a group, whoever I'm with, they're like, alright, she's doing the whole product.
Everybody else is really excited that they're in your group and you're less excited, right? Like that's always a warning when you get in group assignment and everyone else seems super excited. That's code for you're about to do all the work.
Right? Yeah, it's like, oh, they're so excited because they're all in my group. Like tech classes happen, so they're all friends. They're all popular. I'm not popular, sadly.
Not anymore.
So I'm there, and so we're building robots. I'm like, okay, this is fun. I enjoy it. They didn't really want to do work. They just want to talk. So I'm like, okay, I'll just the robot. So I built the whole robot basically. They handed me parts every now and then.
Did you say that like at the presentation?
Well, we didn't present them at all because
Oh.
our tech teacher, we had to figure out. We didn't even get the robots to work because they were all like kits that you build them from. So we couldn't even get the laptops to code them, right? So.
Okay, but I got to get to the bottom of one thing here because you're 13,
Mm-hmm.
and so nonchalantly was like, yeah, I'll take that speaking gig. And then you speak eloquently about why there needs to be more women in the auto industry
and young
Mhm.
people,
Yeah, and young
us
people.
attracting young talent.
But what
right?
I'm trying to figure out here is the source of where is this all coming from? Because I have a 15-year-old son and a 13-year-old son who I'm pretty sure want to be Ninja Turtles when they grow up. They're like, I mean, help me connect the dots. At what point does Kaylee wake up and say, I care about the automotive industry?
So my mom has worked in the automotive industry before, and then my dad's worked in it since I was even just like a thought. Like ever since I was just wandering around the house, he was working in automotive. So I've met a bunch of women. Like in my presentation, I met high power women such as like VPs, CEOs, engineers, and stuff, because I got to travel around the world with my dad. So
Okay, so like
I've been
it's
to
the
about
auto
every
industry
U.S.
has
state.
always been real for you.
Yeah, it's like I've been to just about every U.S. state, but I don't even remember half of them because I was doing it when I was so itty bitty.
And
so
so
it's just
what?
part of your blood. It's like a big thing. So where did the passion, like, did you kind of like take on the speaking engagement as a point of deciding that you had passion for like building up young talent and or was it like something that before that you kind of saw, had a thought for, and this was just the expression of that?
So my dad kind of like started off the idea like, well, there's not a lot of automotive like being shown to people in your school, right? Like you've had people come into your school and talk to you about the high school that you want to go to, and then this is where you're figuring out who you want to be. So why don't you also have people who work in automotive go and talk to you and be like, there's more than just working on cars. There's coding, there's like data analysis, there's all this. But there was no one talking about that to us. Because,
right.
I mean, if I wouldn't have been around my dad, I wouldn't have known that automotive has anything to do with a computer other than coding whatever goes on in a car.
That's a great point. I had a conversation. I have 4 sisters, and I had a conversation with one of them. She's a twin. And my nephew, who is also older than you, he's 17. And he's looking to get into a career, and she had no idea of all the things that you can do in the auto industry. And she's like, is that a good industry? And I'm like, it's the best industry. Are you kidding me? And even my own sister didn't know. And so I think that's a really valid point, that you like realize all this thing. You want to tell people about this, and you delivered this in Women in Automotive. Give us the skinny. What's the Women in Automotive? How did they treat you? Did they treat you well? Did they get you your bowl of blue M&Ms?
I felt like a celebrity at one point because I was sitting in a workshop, and this was before I presented. I sat down next to this girl. I was wearing a pink suit. That might have made it kind of obvious that I was like somewhat cool or popular there. So I sat next to her.
Michael tries that. It didn't work for him.
So I sit down and I talk with this one girl. And she's like, oh my goodness, can I get a picture with you? Like, you were my idol. And I'm like, sure. And then after my presentation, a bunch of people were like, oh my gosh, like, you're my inspiration. And like, can I get a picture with you? So I feel like a celebrity after that.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Then Eliana, who kind of runs a lot of it.
We know Eliana.
Yeah, I love her. She's amazing. But I also got to go to dinner with her. And one comment that I'll always remember from her, the more she talks, the less she sounds like a 13-year-old.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
That's because she was thinking, the more I talk, the more I feel like a 13. I'm just kidding. We love her.
Yeah, we love Eliana. So what, like, when you think about, like, if this is maybe the launch point of where maybe a lot more people are starting to hear from you and about like what you're passionate about, what do you think are some of the ways that that you see getting into the industry this message so that more people get attracted to attracting young talent? What are you excited about doing in the industry, like even at your age, so that this is not just a dream but a reality?
So through the Women in Automotive program, you can become a mentor. So I'm trying to sign up to become one of the mentors that goes and talks to automotive companies and starts like bringing up that idea, even, not just specifically to women, but like the whole company, and start showing them. Because I remember the one thing in my middle school that was automotive related was like the Christian Automotive Brothers poster in the gym. Nobody looks at that. Nobody but the most observant people that are bored during gym class would like.
So you're basically teeing up to go on a tour where all of a sudden you're going to find yourself, and you know they're going to push you up to the front. You're going to be in front of executives and decision makers in these big companies to advocate for young talent in automotive. Do you play an instrument? Do you play guitar?
So I used to play violin. I'm not very good anymore because I kind of just stopped doing it because middle school, figuring out how to get all your work done, and then like I just lost time.
It's a tough time.
Do the lessons and also enjoy myself and play Call of Duty with my friends.
That's
yeah.
I was wondering. Yeah. Well, I literally I've been thinking like if Greta Thunberg and Taylor Swift had a third sister, I think it would be you.
I get the comment a lot that I look like Taylor Swift. So
yes,
I went to the Eras
That's not
Tour
a bad
movie.
thing.
That is a compliment.
My goal was to look almost exactly like her, and so every now and then if I go through my camera roll, I find the pictures and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when I dressed up like her. Did you go see her on the tour? Are you I didn't big Taylor Swift fan? I'm not that big of a Taylor Swift fan. Like I like her music, but I feel like her older country was better than her music now.
Wow. She has an old soul, folks.
Yeah. And there is
we can't say that. You can say that.
There's something worth distinguishing here too about Kaylee. You bring up Greta Thunberg, and the difference I reckon between Kaylee
There's a lot of
Greta
differences, I believe.
Is that when Kaylee speaks, people listen.
Do you know who Greta Thunberg is?
No.
Don't look it up.
Perfect. Don't look it up. No need.
No need.
So in the industry, what is it that you specifically have your eye on? Do you just like broad industry focused, or is there like a narrow lane where you're like, I'd like to go to that direction?
So I'm personally really big in psychology, and I want to go into some psychological like work area. But honestly, I've always found it really fun to go through like the marketing of how companies get you to buy the things that they're selling. Stanley is just psychology. Getting like, because Stanley, okay.
I love this.
They look
this
pretty, and you have a bunch of people who want to buy them. Or iPhone. Oh, they're high quality and they're very expensive, and only the rich people have them. Oh, well, if I have one, then I must be rich. So,
you know, when did you first find out about? Yeah, he's like, when did you wrote one already? I have it around here. It's called The Essence of Value. When did you first like think Stanley was cool? Because Stanley, like, do you know the history of the brand at all?
I know like a little bit.
It was like
it's been around for a long time. Old
working guy gear, right? It was boring. It was lame-o. It just worked. And then all of a sudden, like, I didn't even know this happened because I have a 15-year-old daughter and a soon-to-be 13-year-old daughter. And all of a sudden, like, they wanted a Stanley. Like, I have an old, like, Stanley thermos in the basement.
And you were like, you
that's
don't
so
work
cool.
on an oil rig, right? Yeah.
Right.
Like,
you don't have a
on an oil
lunchbox.
rig.
When do you remember when you like first came across the Stanley and were like, oh, I think I want one of those?
So I just really like the design of like the shape of them, and this is the single one that I have that is like this specific shape. I have one actual Stanley from I like to call them my rich cousins from Missouri, and so it's one of the ones with the like heavy duty handle on the top of it, and it's like purple and all like tightly.
Yep.
But
I've seen that. It's got the big bracket that has the handle like goes up and down. Yeah.
But I do have a fake Stanley that I have that I'm trying to bedazzle whenever I get the chance. But just because I saw like a TikTok on it and it was so cute when it was bedazzled, so I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just bedazzle it ourselves? So
let's talk about the psychology of it. Why do you want it? Because other people have it? Because you think it's cute?
Yeah, because it's pretty. It's popular. Like. I see it a lot. I hear good things about it. So.
Well, here's the cool thing about the way that psychology works. usually, right, it's what people call an influencer, someone who,
Mhm.
you know, they look to. You are in a very unique position in this industry. Like, and you saw it firsthand at the Women in Automotive conference. Like, you got off that stage and all of a sudden people wanted what you had.
Mhm.
People, you know, and that's just going to continue. It's a big responsibility too. But I love that you're into the psychology of brand, basically.
Mhm.
Do you think about that when you're like positioning yourself, whether making content on social media? I don't even know if you
I
make
don't
other
have
content than your
no, my
keynote.
parents won't let me, sadly.
Good
Good
for
job,
them.
parents.
Good for
No.
that. We're all like, good for that.
I
Look
like
at
it.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good parents. Yes.
So, but like, what is it that you want people to take away? Like, why do you want people to pay attention to you? What are the traits that you think you want people to gather around when they see and hear from you?
That even though I'm younger, I still have like important things to say. Like, there is important things that you can get from the younger generation. It's not just, oh yeah, the adults know everything, because the kids who have the creativity are the ones who will think of like the next thing to put in the car. Like, oh hey, for the family, why don't you put a little net that comes in every car, in like the family style ones, so that the kids can put their backpacks in them and they don't like move around. Like,
It's a good idea.
It's a
Thinking-
great
I didn't
idea.
even think that. I was like, why would they put a hammock in a car?
Right.
For the backpacks.
For the
Now, you know,
backpacks.
it's for the backpacks. That's perfect.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, and I think like Paul said, it's a big mantle, but it's an opportunity, because like if you're thinking about marketing and you're thinking about the psychology of marketing, what you're really doing, and the portion that I've seen is really centered around like the brand of retail auto. Like,
Mhm.
is it a brand worth being a part of
yeah.
from a career standpoint? Like, would your friends, would the people that you know look to auto, and is it branded well enough, the career path in auto? Like, why isn't the brand standing out so much that everybody's in the halls talking about that they can't wait to work in a dealership or at a
Mhm.
tech company that serves retail auto, right? That's the play, right?
So one thing that I've noticed, so even my best friend, who is around my dad half the time, so I will say the word automotive and she's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, you don't know what the word automotive means?
You probably don't even have a Stanley.
I got her a fake one for her birthday though.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, but she knows what
I got-
doctor, nurse,
Yeah.
psychologist, all of those things are.
Yeah.
Gym
right?
teacher.
Hey, but yo,
teacher.
I bet you anything the owners of the Fanly mug company are just rolling in dough too. Like, there's something to be said of the fake Stanley people. Like, they're rolling in it because of
Very
Stanley.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because like
But
if you just copy it and then you make it cheaper, and you don't put lead in the bottom of them.
You gotta remember that last step.
Oh, okay.
I'll come
I
back
will
and get
always
you later.
make sure that the bottom of like my Stanley cups is not damaged. I will just like, if I drop it, I'll be
You're
like,
not into the lead poisoning
Wait,
thing.
is it actually lead in the bottom?
No.
yeah, there is.
No.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's
No,
so that
stop.
it's so that you can have like the most area, and then it weighs down the bottom because it's so top heavy.
You sure it's lead? It's not like full of
I'm gonna
sand or
believe
something.
it's like hot glued together pennies.
It's okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a small little disc in the bottom. I think Stanley even said that they actually do that.
Okay. Well,
How
scandal.
1960s of them.
Yeah, that is very 1960s. Let me ask you this, Kaylee.
Lead.
One of the topics that comes up quite a bit in the auto industry from the OEMs, the manufacturers, and the dealers and consumers is this topic of electric vehicles. Everyone's talking about EVs, and I would love to know your 13-year-old going on 36-year-old perspective on electric vehicles. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you not care? Do you think they're the future? What do you think?
So I've heard a lot of things about electric vehicles. So I'm like, oh, electric vehicles, they have batteries that aren't that eco-friendly. But then again, do you want to keep paying for gas, or do you want to... Because they're literally basically paying you without paying you, because you're not having to pay for gas money, and you can just find somewhere that has a charging station. So there's that. And honestly, if I'm being entirely honest,
Please
my
do.
dream car is a Tesla Cybertruck.
There you go.
The
That's what
interior
I
is
wanted.
I know a guy that just got access to a Tesla Cybertruck just throwing it out there. Nobody that's too close.
We
or
know a
anything
few
like
people.
that.
I went to the
See if
Tesla
we
store
can-
at the mall, and they were like, "Do you want to sit in the the Cybertruck?" And I'm like,
You got to sit in
Yeah.
one?
"Yeah, here I can find the picture."
Ah, man.
See, because every time Kyle and I have been around one, they don't
they
let you
shoo
in
us
it.
away.
Yeah, we're
It
like,
was
please,
in-
we're a
it was at
media
the
company.
mall,
Here are
though,
our
so-
credentials. And they're like, get out of here.
That's
Scat.
exactly right.
She's got a picture of her in a Cybertruck. I bet the Cybertruck
man.
looks really big.
Let's see.
Gotta look
Here
cute.
we go.
I'm going to
You have
find it. She's like, Stanley Pictures, Cybertruck. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Look at that. She's
Jealous.
in the Cybertruck. If you can't see it, it looks so legit. It's fun.
Why do you want a
Kaylee,
Cybertruck?
You have been an absolute just a joy to have on. We're really excited to see what you do in retail auto and in all of auto, because someone with your voice speaking about why it's important to be a part of the industry, I think is great for the whole entire industry. And I can't wait to see more of your friends in a few years be in retail auto. Thanks for joining us, and we're rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, I looked it up.
Okay.
Is lead at the bottom of a Stanley Cup?
What? And people be
It's-
throwing that in the
I'm
dishwasher?
okay. Before you say yes, MC, are you a thumbs up or thumbs down? I think it is not. Do you think it is or isn't?
Oh, wait, we're doing trivia?
Yeah, well, it's not really trivia. Gentleman's wager.
I gotta think there's some health regulation.
Okay, so you're saying no.
No.
If they, I mean, if they sell them in Canada,
I just
there
looked
can't
it
be
up.
lead.
It has it.
It does have it, so I was wrong.
You're
got-
wrong.
It's got
It
lead,
has it.
which
There
means
is a lead disc at the bottom of a Stanley.
she was right. She even said a disc, a lead
Yep.
disc. So it's also effective in blocking the effects of kryptonite on Superman. Fantastic. That actually carried
Look.
some weight back when Superman was the thing.
If they were smart, the new Superman would be holding a Stanley in some of the new movies.
That's a great idea. I
That
mean,
would be
I'm like
well done.
my Superman days was like Gene Hackman and Richard Pryor in Christopher Reeves
And it
in
would be
Superman
like a
3.
it'd be a subtle jab to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because Stan Lee.
Oh, this is good. No, but without a doubt.
Really,
Go ahead.
really go for it. You,
I was
you
like,
get it.
talk about like a little force of nature. She knows what she's talking about. She doesn't hesitate to answer questions, which was one of the most impressive things for me. She was always like, yeah. I have something to say too.
Yeah.
She was just right in the conversation.
Well, and I love, so we do so many of these podcasts, and like people just struggle to talk about normal life. And she's just in here talking about robots and hanging out with friends, but also
Auto execs.
tying that into the reality that like none of them know about retail automotive.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's so refreshing to me to like just communicate with someone that is just living life and has a passion for a thing, right? Which is seeing young people see auto. That she's like, I think about my kids, like they're passionate about auto because they see that in me.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing for her.
Yep.
Yep.
Michael's kids just see his passion for Ninja Turtles, apparently.
Bro. I was thinking like at her age, I legit thought I was going to be WWF tag team champions with the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh yeah.
You know
Without
what I
a
mean?
doubt.
Like, she
13, I know it.
the clarity and this is always weird, right? Because we're at risk of being the three old dudes completely
at
wowed
risk.
by a teenager. But I mean, like but I have to say, like I'm just so impressed by the clarity of her thought about where she's going, because I do think that's unique. I think it's available to everyone, but there are roadblocks in the way in society that we get distracted by, and so I think that's why I'm so impressed that good job, mom and dad. Good,
Yes.
Good
solid
job, Mom.
values, and they're steering in the right direction, and that's lending itself to a 13-year-old smart, intelligent, forward-thinking young woman who's not afraid to take the stage at conferences, which isn't public speaking the thing?
Supposedly one of the
More
biggest
people are
fears.
afraid of it than death. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Well, hey, look, on behalf of three slightly older dudes, whether in feeling or actuality, we really thank you for hanging out with us and Kaylee here on this episode of Auto Collabs. We'll see you next time. Welcome to Auto Collabs. Why are we recording?
Are we rolling yet?